So good morning. My name is Alain Tourret. I'm the Dean of Students since 2019 for the school, and I spent before 17 years as a French teacher.
After an abrupt end to in-person learning in the spring of 2020, finding a way to return in person for the 2020-2021 school year was a difficult challenge. With only one instance of virtual education being necessary, Bishop McGuinness created a safe in-person learning environment during the COVID-19 pandemic. We asked Mr. Alain Tourret about how the school had such great success and what role he had to play in it.
What was the main focus of your position as Dean of Students before the pandemic, and how has that changed because of the pandemic?
So my main position was to take care of every supervision about student life. It includes not only safety, daily life, discipline. Uh, it also includes everything about athletics, but of course, I don't do everything. I'm here to supervise that everything is done correctly. And we have the athletic director to help, we have a nurse to help, we have different people who have section. I'm above to supervise that students get all they need. I'm also helping the counseling center when there's some issue with some students or when they have personal concerns, so I can help as well to assist those students and bring some solution when I can.
So, how did you really prepare the school to return in person during the pandemic?
So we spent about 2.5 months to prepare. First, we were asked by the Diocese of Charlotte to prepare a plan, a return to campus plan, you probably read. And we have to create this plan, to write this plan, and also we have to work with the teachers because everybody had concern last spring about is it safe to come back. So our mission was first not only to make sure it was safe for students, but also for faculty. And we have to think about what kind of protection we could provide, how we could finance those protections, how we are going to screen not only faculty staff, but also students and get the equipment. So it's a long process we had, and we had also to communicate with parents. We have so many sessions via Zoom. I think it's been for 3 people or 4 people. We had about a week of Zooms offered to parents so they could ask questions by beginning of August before we were able to reopen the school. And there are a lot of details. I mean, I could speak for 2 hours, but our concern was focused more on safety and how to react in case we would have a positive person inside the building.
So, can you elaborate more on kind of, I guess, the safety protocols that were introduced to the school this year?
Sure. So first, with Mr. Quarles, the assistant principal, we got a training during summer in July from the nurse of the diocese about how to react to COVID-19. Then the diocese created, according to the CDC, of course, and the health department, local health department, created a procedure in case we have either someone exposed or someone who was tested positive. So according to this procedure, we have to adapt, and we had to be able to react fast by getting out of school people who are exposed. And I think you have been witnesses more than one time. Then as soon as we learn someone has been positive, we do contact tracing, and we have all the sitting charge teachers. Sometimes they have special activities, so they provide me with a special sitting charge for that day, or in a lab, for example, when you have a group of 3 students. For athletics, when you have practice and you are by pool of 4 or 5 people, I need to have access to this information. So in a couple of hours, maximum half a day, we can exclude all students from the school. It's also a process of investigation because there's behind a fear from a lot of people to say they have been tested positive, or parents who don't realize what kind of information they need to provide. So most of the time we have to go back, call back, or email parents, students to get information to make sure we don't forget anybody in the process of exclusion or quarantining.
Why do you think the school specifically has been so successful with staying in person?
I think we have been successful because I would say 99% of the students and families have understood the return to campus plan and have been supporting us by being transparent. And it is just no, each time there was a problem. So many parents got COVID-19 and they tell us, I keep my child at home because I've been tested positive. I didn't want to send my child to contaminate anybody. So this is more a collaboration between parents, students, and the administration. That's why we were successful. We had to close once only because we have too many cases and we're forced by the diocese because they have rules how many students can be out at the same time, or it's not efficient to continue to teach in person. But except one time, we have been successful because everybody has been serious with the virus, wearing their mask, respecting the rules. That's why we have been successful.
So, can you kind of explain how, I guess, the transfer from in-person to online for that one period went, and how, as like an administrator?
Sure. Well, it's not a transfer was done in one day. In fact, we have to go back to August. During summer, we were to prepare the 3 different possibilities for school. Everybody in person, half the school in person, the other one at home via Zoom, or the whole school. So I would say the transfer was not a difficult one because we had an experience from last spring where we were able to analyze the data we had from last spring. How did it go on the student point of view? We interviewed also some parents and we had a feedback from teachers. So the plan C was already in place in August. We didn't use it and we hope we didn't have to use it because everybody knows it's better to have a face-to-face education than to be behind the screen. So as soon as we learned we had too many students out because of about a dozen of cases and too many students exposed or possibly exposed, we made the decision in less than 24 hours to go to virtual. The time teachers were able to change their plan for the following day from in-person to virtual. But they were prepared for it because they were expecting. We let the teachers progressively know, watch out, we are going to be close to a plan B, or means half the school, or plan C, we have a lot of students out. So they were prepared. That's why it was really smooth to transit.
Do you think what happened in last year during the spring prepared you to go back to school this year?
It did. It was not the same at all because last year was more a reaction and we didn't have any information from the CDC. And we were kind of in the dark. It's why we completely changed in one day to 100% virtual. Because of this and because we saw and because of the communication with the different part, our stakeholders, our students, our faculty, and working a lot with the diocese as well, as a diocese, not only a school, it helped us really to develop this plan and to be ready.
What was the hardest part of preparing and running the school to return in August?
You're going to be surprised. I won't say the hardest part was about COVID. The hardest part was that we lost our principal on June 8th. We didn't expect this. And so at the same time, we had to try to organize with no principal, with during the summer, where a third of the staff and the administration is not supposed to be here, not under contract, on vacation. So 2 of us were called back to work on this project because we didn't have enough people to prepare. So the difficulty was combining the whole created by the departure of a principal and this enormous COVID-19 pandemic, who nobody knew how to go with it, and if we were going to have school or not, and how. So it's a combination of both of them. That's what was difficult. For COVID-19 only, I would say the difficulty was getting some funds and getting the equipment. You know, for example, the camera, the thermal camera we have, and all those tension, they didn't arrive on time because in the United States, everybody was asking for the same equipment. The masks were not here. We didn't have enough PPEs end of July to start opening the school, and suddenly the company started to reopen to produce those goods we needed, and suddenly it arrived just on time, sometime one day after, and we continue to receive some PPEs for free by the local authorities sometimes. So, you know, it's just a process you can prepare in one day. It's something you have to build progressively. We have been in contact also with the local health department with St. Salem. We were in contact with the health department in Charlotte, in Raleigh, my bad. From the state health department. So we started to build some communication with our partners to help us.
All right.
But you know, it's like for everything, you build progressively. That's why now I'm really confident we should be able to finish the year with no major issue or not closing or not going to a virtual because people are trained. We got the support from the local authority, from the health department. Another example is last Sunday we were able to get 50 spots for our faculty, coaches, bus driver to get their vaccination. So you know, this really we're not alone anymore. That's what was easier for us.
Okay, and I guess our last question is, going forward, what changes do you think will be permanently or temporarily implemented?
It's difficult to say, you know. And I say it's difficult to say that probably with the same answer that everybody says in the government level, local authority level, diocese. We are not in control. We don't control anything about this virus. So it's more about adapting, reacting when there is an emergency. The only thing I say is that I don't think we are going to get rid of the mask or social distancing for the school year.
Yeah.
And everybody seems to agree with that. We'll do everything we can to push the vaccination of our students when we can, so we can reopen, not exactly like it was before the pandemic, but to have a normal life, be able to have 250 students in the cafeteria at the same time, not to have social distancing, not to have 8 people in a classroom for lunch. So that's what we hope and expect to do. As soon as we can remove the restrictions, we're going to do it to give students what they need for the instruction. And I will conclude that the most important for us is not only academics. We see as educators the social part of this pandemic and the situation. We want to allow our students to do everything they used to do before you, like a prom, like a graduation, like some dances. You know, we just want to make sure you're safe when we're going to redo it again. So that's our focus. But what's going to happen tomorrow? I'm not sure I know. Tomorrow we can have again a peak of the pandemic and we have to close again the school, or we have to reinforce the restrictions. It's really hard to know.